Maceration. Ever heard a word and nodded like you knew what it meant? Today, we are not swirling the glass just yet. We are swirling the skins, seeds, and stems. Because maceration is where wine gets its color, its tannins, and its bold identity. Ever wonder why Pinot Noir pours ruby, Syrah goes inky purple, and rosé blushes? Just so. By the end of this episode, you'll know what maceration is, why it matters, and how this secret soak turns grape juice into the wine with a soul. Welcome to Sip Me Maybe, the podcast about all things wine, where we swirl, sip, and spill the truth about what's in your glass. I'm Julia, and here we take wine from grape to the glass and rate everything in between. Let's uncork the science behind the soak. Long before stainless steel tanks and temperature controls, winemakers practiced maceration without even knowing its chemistry. They simply crushed grapes and left the skins in the contact with the juice, letting the time do its quiet chemistry. In ancient Georgia, around 6000 BC, they fermented grapes in buried quervae, clay pots, skins and all, creating amber-hued wines with texture and grip. The Greeks and Romans followed, soaking their grapes for varying times to craft everything from delicate pink wines for feasts or darker reds poured at ceremonies. Fast forward to Middle Ages, the European monks refined maceration to produce deeper, more structured wines for sacrament and trade. By the 18th and 19th centuries, the science caught up with the tradition. French vintners began to experiment deliberately, adjusting maceration times to shape wines with greater elegance, age-worthiness, and regional identity. In the modern era, temperature-controlled tanks, cold soak techniques, and extended maceration transformed what was once just a waiting game into an art of precision. Winemakers today adjust maceration down to an hour, crafting rosés with a mere blush of color, silky pinots with gentle tannins, or robust cabernets built to age for decades. Maceration isn't just a step in the process, it's the heart of winemaking, controlling color, tannin, structure, mouthfeel, and aromatic complexity. From ancient clay pots to cutting-edge cellars, it's the timeless soak that turns humble grape juice into a wine with a soul. So, what is maceration? Maceration is the process where a grape, skins, seeds, and sometimes stems stay in contact with the juice after crushing. A soak that transforms clear grape juice into structured, controlled aromatic wine. Skins and seeds hold tannins, those compounds that give you that mouth-drying, grapey sensation like strong black tea. There's the secret. Tannins aren't just texture, they act as natural preservatives, giving red wines their ageability. Skin holds color pigments and the cyanins. Without skins, there is no red wine. Fun fact, all grape juice is essentially clear to pale yellow, even for red grapes. It's the skins that stain the juice ruby, garnet, or purple. That's why you can make white wines from red grapes, called blanc de noirs, in Champagne meaning white from blacks. A well-macerated Cabernet can sleep in a cellar for decades without losing vitality. Skins carry flavor, compounds far beyond fruit, spices, herbs, florals, and earthy tones. And did you know Syrah skins contain rotundin, the compound behind its classy peppery aroma? When winemakers include stems, it's called whole cluster fermentation. They add herbal, spicy, and green tea-like notes. It's a stylistic choice. Burgundy pinots often use partial stem inclusion to create complexity and structure. And did you know maceration also extracts antioxidants like resveratrol, concentrated in skins and seeds? That's the compound behind that red wine is good for your body. Though, as always, moderation is key. In short, maceration isn't just making wine pretty in the glass. It builds color, structure, complexity, and longevity, turning grape juice from simple sweetness into a symphony of texture, aroma, and soul. Let's talk about types of maceration. Short maceration for rosé. Juice sits with skins briefly, anywhere from few hours to a day, just enough for blush tones and delicate tannins before the processing is off. Cold soak, pre-fermentation maceration. Grapes are chilled before fermentation, extracting color and aromas without harsh tannins. Common with Pinot Noirs, enhancing ruby hue and pure red fruit aromas. Little known details, cold soak can last 3 to 7 days, sometimes with dry ice to keep temperature near freezing. Extended maceration, post-fermentation. After fermentation, wine stays on skins for days or even weeks, extracts deeper tannins, flavor, and bigger, denser body. Typically for bold reds like Cabernet, Syrah, and Barolo, extended maceration can add umami notes and, paradoxically, smooth tannins, making massive wines velvety over time. Carbonic maceration, while clusters ferment in CO2-rich environments without crushing. Fermentation inside out, producing soft, fruity, low-tannin wines with notes like banana, bubblegum, and candied cherry. Here's another fun fact. Not exclusive to Beaujolais and Nova, modern natural winemakers use partial carbonic maceration to craft chillable reds with bright aromatics. And the last one for extra points. Maceration isn't one size fits all. If grapes are underripe with harsh tannins, winemakers avoid extended soaking to prevent aggressive, unbalanced wines. But with fully ripe grapes, extended maceration builds luxurious texture and complexity. It's a dance between nature's offering and winemaker's vision. How does maceration impact tasting profile? Think of maceration like steeping the tea. A quick dip yields pale, delicate rosé with a whisper of tannin. Let it linger and you draw out depth, grip, and complexity. Reds that don't just stain the glass but etch themselves into a memory. Without maceration, you get white or orange wines with little tanning structure, refreshing, clean, but fleeting. Short maceration gives rosés elegance. A long soak builds age-worthy reds, Cabernet with dark cherry, graphite, and cedar. Syrah with black plum, pepper, and smoky earth. Maceration decides whether a wine whispers, sings, or roars, shaping its voice long before an oak or bottle. So let's talk dollars. Maceration alone doesn't slap a high price tag, but extended maceration often commands a premium price. Why? Longer maceration ties up winery resources while extracting tannins and flavors that age gracefully. These wines develop richer, deeper profiles that collectors crave. Cabernet's evolving to cigar box elegance, Barolo's softening to truffle and rose. In the end, you are paying for patience, potential, and promise of greatness with time. Against other winemaking techniques, maceration is an unsung hero. Oak aging gets the prize, terroir gets the poems, but maceration? That's where the wine's first signature is signed, the quiet moment grape juice decides who it wants to be. Without maceration, Cabernet just sweet, purple juice, pleasant but forgettable. With it, it becomes a wine that stains your lips with a memory. It's the difference between watercolor and oil paint, between humming a tune and singing an aria. Maceration is where wine earns its voice, bold or delicate, fleeting or eternal. Maceration is the quiet soak that gives the wine its color, tannins, and soul. Next time you swirl a deep red or sip salmon pink rosé, remember, you're not just tasting grapes, you're tasting the time spent steeped in their own skins and a fleeting soak turned into liquid art. So we've swirled the story, sipped the facts, and now let's seal the deal. I'm Julia. This was Sip Me Maybe, the podcast where every glass has a story and no sip goes unnoticed. Sip wisely, and I'll see you the next pour.